Hey, it's Maury. I'm standing in my Heimer Active 1.0. I made some upgrades. Just kidding. This is obviously not a Heimer Active. This is a $400 and something thousand Tiffin. And I see that it has a sold sign on it, so I probably shouldn't be in here. Alright, so since this has got a sold sign on it, I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time in here. I'm sure it's been cleaned. We'll just look around a little bit. Look at that refrigerator. Holy mackerel. I do remember this. This bathroom is bigger than my bathroom at home. Look at this shower. Oh man. See, every time I walk through one of these things I get jealous. Closet is just, it's a little dark, but it's massive. Why can't we have that? So this is a 43-foot Tiffin, full kitchen, and you can see there it's, well, list price is $644,000. Oh my gosh. Look at that dashboard. That is just crazy. So I stopped by La Mesa RV today just to pass some time and take a look around. My RV, my Heimer Active, is still being worked on, so I figured I'd stop by and just look at some other stuff and talk about shopping for an RV as a solo traveler. You know, I was looking for specific features, which I got in the Active. Short wheelbase, well, not short wheelbase, but a short chassis, easily maneuverable, good fuel economy, a good layout, you know, a good floor plan. And so, obviously, it doesn't have the kind of floor plan that this thing does. I think it's important to remember that you're purchasing an RV for how you're going to use it, not how others are going to think you should use it. So, I've been asked a number of times why I got such a small camper. Why didn't I get a Class C or even one of the big Bs, the big B pluses or whatever they call them. Size was a factor when I chose my RV. I have a good friend that owns a rig similar to this one, similar size. You really have to plan ahead when you're going someplace. You have to know where you're going and where you're going to park. And there's a lot of places that you can't go just because it's so big. I mean, look at that. It just goes on and on. Back to that bathroom that I'll say again is bigger than my bathroom at home, and I'm still a little jealous. It requires a lot of planning. Oh, and is there another bathroom here? Oh, for crying out loud, this has two bathrooms. Master bath and a guest bath. Ugh. And a ceiling fan. That's kind of nice. Anyway, something of this size really requires a lot of planning, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. I really didn't. Alright, I'm outside now, so it's a little windy, but just look at the size of this monster. I just would not want to have to deal with this on a daily basis. Here's the empty lot, by the way. This is usually just jam-packed with stuff, and it's completely empty today. So another option was a trailer, such as the one that I'm in. This is a, I don't know, 20-foot, 22-foot trailer maybe. And this was an option for me also, for something for one person, although it does have multiple beds. And it has a slide, which I didn't really want anything with a slide. But that said, having a trailer also means that you have size constraints. You're adding the length of the trailer to the length of your vehicle, and you have to know not quite as far in advance as you would with a Class A, like the 43-foot that we were just looking at, but you kind of need to know where you're going and where you're going to park. And there are considerations with getting in and out of it. You know, in the camper van, you stand up, turn around, and walk into the back. With a trailer, you have to stop, park, get out of your vehicle, walk around to the trailer, unlock it, get inside, do whatever you need to do, and then reverse the process, lock it back up, go back to your vehicle, and take off again. And I just really didn't want to deal with that. Again, the overall length was a factor for me. I want to be able to navigate in small downtown areas or in some parks even. It can be very difficult to get in and out with a trailer. In the case of staying at the San Francisco rest area by the bridge, having a vehicle with a trailer just would not have worked. It's so weird to see this parking lot so empty. Everything is down at Cardinal Stadium. But look at that, just nothing. Very disappointing. I didn't know this was happening today, or this weekend. But we'll look around anyway. So this is a Winnebago Era. This is a four-wheel drive Class B. It is longer and larger than my Heimer Active, but you definitely get the feeling that this is meant to be upscale, higher quality finishes. You get the nice glossy, rounded cabinetry. The bed is the sofa bed that you see in other models that is electrically operated and has seams that would be very uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to sleep on that without a topper of some kind. Galley is nice, and it's definitely more roomy than the Active, but that really wasn't what I was going for. So if you are a couple, this would probably be a really nice option and something to consider. It's got a nice refrigerator, freezer, nice cabinetry, nice sink and stove. The bathroom is full wet bath. It's not bad. It's got a proper shower. So if you are shopping for a camper for yourself, if you want the upscale van and you don't mind the extra length, or maybe you want the four-wheel drive, and this may even be a four-season camper. I'd have to look up the specifications on it. But if you like the extra room, even if you're on your own, this is a really nice rig. They're asking $119,000 for it. For me personally, I think that this would be overkill. On one hand, it's nice to have the extra space and the upscale finishes. Probably not worth the premium over what I spent for the Active. At least for me. But if you're a couple and you want to be comfortable, I think this is a nice option. Or something of this class, this size. I would not recommend the Active 1.0 as a van for a couple, just based on my experience. I know that it's possible. And I know that there are people who do live part-time and full-time in the Active as a couple. It's just not something that I would be interested in, at least on a long-term or full-time basis. Do you remember the May I Help You riff in Wayne's World when they went into the guitar store and picked up a guitar and started wailing on it so that they would get attention from one of the salespeople? I think that keeps happening here. As I'm walking around, occasionally I'll get one of the sales guys that comes up to me and asks, hey, how's it going? So I just had another encounter. But this is another Class A. It's not as big as the other one. Looking to see, there is an appointment scheduled to show it. Do not move this unit. So I'm not sure of the size of this Class A. It's not as big as the Tiffin that we were just in a few minutes ago. I'm guessing this is a 35 foot maybe. It looks like it's a used one, and so there's no paperwork or anything on it. It does show some wear, so I'm guessing that it is used. This one's nice also. It has the slide. I don't like the slide so much when it's required in order to access a room. So when the bedroom can't be used unless the slide is out, that seems like it would be very inconvenient. And that's one of the reasons that I did not choose a Class A or a similar configuration, a similar floor plan that requires the slide to be extended in order to use it. In this case, when the slide is closed, the bathroom looks like the bathroom is inaccessible. and that would be a real bummer. So if you want to use the bathroom, unless there's one up front here, it looks like there might be. Okay, so there is another bathroom up front, but this bathroom would be inaccessible unless the slide is deployed. On the plus side, it does have a nice full shower, a separate shower. This rig has been pre-loved and definitely needs a little bit of work. I'm sure they're going to make a great deal on it for whoever's coming to look at it, though. So let's talk a little bit about why I chose my Class B over one of the other options, a trailer or a Class A or a Class C or even a B+. As a solo traveler, I was looking for something that's easy to drive, gets good fuel economy, is manageable in tight quarters, downtown areas, parking lots, traffic. That's a consideration as well. Along with the planning aspect. When you're in a 43-foot Class A, you can't just pull over on the side of the road and stay the night. It requires some planning. Now, you are self-contained, although we are self-contained in the active as well, just not quite to the extent that you would be in a full Class A as far as storage, water and black and gray tanks. So what kinds of things might you consider if you are a solo traveler and you're in the market for an RV? Well, the things that I mentioned already were the reasons that I went the direction that I did. Fuel economy, maneuverability, and the ability to stop pretty much any place and rest. There's also the stealth factor. If you're in a Class A, it's obvious that you are traveling. If you're in a Class B camper van like the Heimer Active, it may go unnoticed in certain areas. Another consideration is how you're going to use the amenities of the RV. Now, I'm standing in a Class A, which has a full bathroom and a separate shower. That's a nice feature to have, and my Heimer Active does not have that. To be completely honest, the bathroom and the shower situation in the Heimer is unpleasant at best. It's functional, but you wouldn't want to use it all the time. It's okay in a pinch. But that's why I have a membership to Anytime Fitness. As I'm traveling, I can stop in at any Anytime Fitness across the country, and it's private and secure, and they have private bathrooms and showers. And so I think that that's the way that I will continue using it, and just not shower in the van unless it's absolutely necessary. And to be fair, in a Class B camper van such as mine, it's easy to feel cramped. There's not a lot of room between the galley and, well, on this side is my bathroom. There's just not a lot of space. But if you're on your own and you're not doing the aisleway shuffle with a partner, then that lack of space isn't as big of an issue, and you don't need things like a slide out or a larger RV to begin with, because it's just you, and it's okay. That's not to say that the additional space would not be appreciated, but for the way that I travel and the fact that I am traveling alone, it's just not really necessary for me. So just to summarize, if you are in the market for or simply thinking about a Class B camper van, or any camper for that matter, as a solo traveler, what kinds of things should you consider? I think first you'll want to decide where you're going to be going. Will you be on campgrounds or BLM land exclusively? Or will you travel to towns and cities where parking and maneuvering becomes an issue? That will affect some of the choices that you make with the size of the vehicle that you choose. Another thing to think about is how much space do you need? Are you going to live in it full time or just travel in it periodically? If you're a full-timer, then the lack of space becomes important because there's not a lot of room inside these camper vans for your stuff. And that being the case, you have to be all right with living a somewhat minimalist lifestyle. Now, if you require a lot of equipment or a lot of just stuff, some people like to have their things with them, then you might want to consider a slightly larger RV, like a Class C. Or if you are traveling with somebody, or not necessarily full-time, but even just part-time, having that extra space for that guest would be important or valuable. Speaking of guests, if you plan on having somebody along for the ride, you'll want to be sure that you can accommodate them. So in the case of my Heimer Active, it has one bed in the rear of the van. It is big enough for 2 people, but if I have my brother along on a trip, I don't really want to sleep next to him. But there's not really a viable option to put him up anywhere else. Yes, there is the optional mattress for the front of the Active. It requires using the bench seat and the front seats and laying it across. But I don't really consider that to be an option that I would want. It requires carrying around the mattress and the additional equipment, and space is at a premium in this van to begin with. And so carrying around this additional piece of bedding, I think, is just inconvenient. And at the end of the day, it's probably not the most comfortable option for your guest either. There are some Class Bs that offer a split rear bed so that it can be used as 2 twins. And if you plan on having people along with you often, whether it's a child or a spouse or even a large dog for that matter, then that would be something to consider. I think that the Travado has that as an option, where you have 2 twins in the back of the van. Another thing to consider if you're using the single bed like in the Active is if you're in the back and you need to go to the bathroom, you're climbing over someone, and that's not fun for anybody. And finally, fuel and maintenance costs are a factor. The Heimer Active is a gas-powered vehicle with a Dodge Ram chassis and engine. I can find a service center anywhere and have the oil changed anywhere. Some of the other options are built on the Mercedes Sprinter platform, which is a diesel engine. And while I don't have any personal experience with it, it's my understanding that the routine maintenance costs alone are fairly pricey for the Sprinter, and they're not really something that you can do on your own in your driveway like I plan on doing in the ProMaster. So that's something else to consider, is if you need maintenance, where will you be, and will you be able to get it serviced in a reasonable amount of time at a reasonable cost. Thanks for watching. If you have any additional questions or comments about my decision-making process, or why I chose a Class B as a solo traveler, or why I chose the Heimer Active specifically, leave them in the comments below and we can talk about it. In the meantime, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. I just got news that the remainder of my repair parts are on their way, so I should have my van back in the next week or so, and I have some good content queued up, so be sure to come back and watch that. Till then, have a great day.